introduction. Now, everyone, can we please give a very, very warm round of applause for Miss Elijah Corpus? A virtual round of applause.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, and I hope you're having a great weekend so far. Thank you, Jules, and hello to everyone here. I'm really excited to get into this with you. So let's start with a story. There was this one day when I was in the public bus in Seattle, Washington, where I used to live. At that time, I was working with Microsoft as part of a global team, and a lot of the services that I was offering, it was being offered to a worldwide audience of 100,000 plus employees. And so it was something that it was a big piece of work. And for a 23-year-old, at that time I was 23, it was something that really made me feel like I was making a difference in what I was doing. So that day I was coming home from work. Usually there's a work bus that we use, but for some reason that day I decided to use the public bus. And so while I was there, I was seated beside this lady. I think she was a little bit older than me, probably early 30s, something like that range. And she looked Pinay. So I was thinking, okay, kababayan yung katabi ko. So okay lang. And I wasn't sure yet, but I saw that on her phone, she was browsing through the Abenson website. I don't know if you still know what Abenson is, but it's an appliance center here in the Philippines. And so I thought, Pinay nga, because she was looking at Abenson. And then after a while, she gets a call. And she answers it with, Ma, confirmed, Pinay talaga. So yun pa lang, you already know how they sound like. And she was telling her mom about her day, her week, how tired she was. I think from context clues, I could tell that she was a domestic helper over there in Seattle. And so she was just telling stories to her mom like usual. And at the end of her talk, she said, Ma, napadala ko na. Bilhin nyo na yung ref. And so that's something that it really struck me. And until now, I remember that story. I tell you about that story because it's something that helps me to reflect about success. It gives you pause because it's a reminder that success is very personal. At that time, I think based on society standards, I was successful. I was 23. I had a master's degree with a legit diploma, so it was a real degree. And then I had a job that was paying really, really well in a top company. I had an apartment downtown where all the bars and restaurants were. I was able to do what I'm passionate about. I also sing sometimes when I have the time. So I really thought my life was successful, and I still believe that it was. But I look at this Filipina beside me in the bus, and her life is also a success. She's able to create something, give something to her family, do something that matters. And who's to say that my life was more successful than hers, even though we have very different situations? And so for today, this is what I hope we can really think about. Success is personal, it's very contextual. And to help you get started on thinking about what success is for you, I do have 3 questions that I will share with you today. These are 3 questions to set yourself up for success. Before that, though, I have a question for you. Who here is afraid of the future? Maybe you can give me a quick thumbs up or let me know in the chat. Sinong takot about the future? So I, for one, I am scared of the future. So I'm giving myself a thumbs up here. How about for the others? Okay, I see some thumbs. And great, that's already a great first step. We have to admit what we are scared of. I'm not here today to tell you to let go of that fear. Instead of forcing ourselves to not be afraid, lean into that fear. Define it Define what emotion you're feeling, label what it is you're thinking about, what it is you're going through, and use that fear to push you to reflection. Use that fear to push you eventually into action when you are ready. And so for today, because we said that most of us are scared of the future, I hope that you can lean into that fear and use it as you reflect on these 3 questions. The first question is, when was the last time you slept at night feeling satisfied? Really think about what happened that day. Who were you with? What activities did you engage in? Maybe also think about what did people say about you or to you in that moment or during that day. When you think about the last time you really felt satisfied with your day, it helps you to define what you value. It helps you to figure out what is important for me. I run this workshop that we call Drafting My Purpose. And in this workshop, we guide people towards really writing down a purpose statement and defining what is that why that matters to them. I can tell you that 99% of the time, people would say that the last time they felt satisfied was either, number 1, when they were with their family or friends who felt like family, or number 2, when they were of service to different people around them, whether that's family or communities or complete strangers. And so think about that. A lot of people say that what they value are these connections. What they value is being able to help and give something back to the people around them. So what I encourage you to do is to dig deep. Look into what matters to me. What are my non-negotiables in life? What are the mindsets, attitudes that I think are so important that I need to be that way and do that every day and to make sure that my interactions are aligned with that? So dig deep into what matters. I also encourage you to go broad. Think about who are the people that I value. Maybe it's your family, maybe it's your very close friends, but I also encourage you to not constrain yourself with those people who are already close to you. Think about communities. Think about people who maybe you can get to know, people who are out there that you can connect with. And you never know, they might be the kind of people that will help you to think about what you value and help you to reinforce that as well. So again, success is measured by what you value. And a good way to start thinking about it is to think of the last time that you slept at night feeling very satisfied with the day that you have. The next question will be, what is my current reality? For this one, think about going deep. What are your strengths? What are you good at right now in your current situation? What are your talents and skills that other people say, ikaw yung pinakamagaling dito? Or maybe they seek you out when it comes to these activities, and that's a clue that maybe that's a strength for you. Another way of going deep is to think about, what else do I need to learn? Usually people say, what's my weakness? But shift your mindset on that. And instead of telling yourself that this is a weakness for me, try to say that this is something I still need to and want to learn. I assume that if you're here, you're still very young in your career. And so maybe think about building that practice. Do something that you can find some level of expertise in. You don't have to be perfect in it because really no one is perfect at anything. But what you can do is to build your practice in that field or in that profession so that you can contribute those skills and knowledge with the other people around you. When it comes to thinking about your current reality, I also encourage you to go broad. What I mean by going broad is to think about the reality of the world that we live in right now. Hindi lang yung reality natin as individuals yung importante. we also have to think about the systems that are around us. There are so many systemic problems in the world, even in our country itself. And so when we think about the reality, I encourage you to go as broad as thinking through what are the things happening around me, the challenges, the uncertainties. Why might they be happening? What is the historical context on that? So you can really understand where you are right now and where you are coming from. It's very important to do this because, like what I said earlier, we already live in such a challenging and uncertain world. For all of you who are just beginning your career, I'm sure that the world of work will be even more challenging, even more uncertain, especially as new technologies come in. The jobs that you might have in 10 years might not even exist now, right? And so when we think about that reality, yes, it will be overwhelming, but I encourage you to think about what is in my scope of influence. Instead of getting paralyzed by everything, try to figure out what's in my scope of control. What are the things that I can change because these are the communities that I am part of, because these are aligned with my values. I think when we scope things down to what's in my scope of influence, what's in my control, it helps to fight with that disillusionment. Pag masyadong maraming problema sa mundo, right? It's easy to feel like, wala nang pag-asa. I will disengage because there's nothing else I can do. And so part of acknowledging your reality is acknowledging that yes, the world is hard, but also pushing yourself to say that there are things in my control. And if I am able to make change happen within my scope, that is already success. I think a lot of us get bogged down with wanting certainty. A lot of us, before we make decisions, we want to be sure about it. What course will I go to for college? I'm sure the college students here, yung course nyo pa lang, mahirap na because you're not sure about if you like it, if you'll do good at it. It gets even harder as you decide on what company to go into, what job do I take. For the people who are thinking about their romantic lives, when you choose your partners in the future, like all of these things, it's so hard to guarantee. But I think a lot of people try to look for that certainty. Instead of looking for certainty, what I encourage you to do is to go for intentionality. Be intentional about the things that you do. When we look at the world with intentionality, it's about looking for possibilities instead of looking for guarantees. When we are intentional, we're saying that, look, I am not sure about how this will go, but I will make this decision. And whatever happens, I know that I made this decision. I'm going to learn from it. If I succeed, great. I'll use that success for more success in the future. But if I don't succeed, then now I know I'll learn from that. And it's just a step towards whatever success is for me. And so again, I hope that our very, very hard reality doesn't make you go for certainty because that is what's more comfortable. I hope that you choose to push yourself towards intentionality. Look for possibilities within the scopes that you can control. And then the last question is, what would the world miss if I cease to exist? Take a breath first because it's such a hard question. Every time I ask this to my participants, you can see their faces going like, shucks, I don't know how to answer that. Because it's really a very, very difficult question to think about. And so what I want to leave you with today is a way to start to think about your answer to this question. One thing you can do is to think about your purpose. What is purpose in the first place? Purpose is the impact that you can uniquely create and that you want to make happen. I encourage you to dig deep. Think about what's coming from you. Purpose has to be something that's true to you, something that you think you can uniquely create. In our world today, there are so many standards that society will tell you about what you should be going for, what should be successful, and it's hard to push past that. But really go deep and try to tell yourself and ask yourself, what is true to me? What is something that I'm strong in? Because from there, you can reinforce that strength to make the impact that you want to make. I also encourage you to go broad. Think about the impact that you want to make on other people. What is that positive impact, that positive difference that you would want to make for the people around you? When we start to think about purpose as early as now, even if you're still in school, it's a way to tell ourselves that we can make this happen. My suggestion is to start reflecting on these and verbalize them. Once we start telling those stories, you never know who you'll connect with. You never know, you might find someone who can help you to make that purpose happen. Maybe it's your next boss, maybe it's a volunteer group with a purpose that's aligned with you, and you can use your purpose to impact that volunteer group. Think about your purpose and start drafting it as early as now. The workshop that I created is called Drafting My Purpose because when we draft something, we just write and write and write without really censoring ourselves or without making it too perfect. When we draft something, we know that we can always revise it in the future. So that's what I hope you can do. Know that it doesn't have to be permanent. I hate when people say find my purpose or discover my purpose as if it got lost. I had a participant before who said they also didn't like find my purpose because in Filipino, that means pag may hinanap, nawala. And it implies na nawala ko yung purpose ko, which is not true, right? Because it's coming from us. And so I hope you can begin that drafting as early as now. And these 3 questions will help you as you draft your purpose and set yourself up for further success. Let's review our questions. Number 1, when was the last time you slept at night feeling satisfied? Number 2, what is my current reality? And number 3, what would the world miss if I cease to exist? These are the 3 questions that I hope you can start to think about right now or later on after the event. But what I will tell you is you are not going to have your final answer by today. So even if you've done this session with JCI and have heard from all the speakers, it's not going to be final today. And so draft now and know that it's a constant process of digging deep and going broad. You have to constantly reflect on yourself and what matters, and constantly go broad and ask other people about their insights, learn from other people. It's only through that constant process of digging deep, going broad, continuously learning, and openly sharing that we can set ourselves up for success. And you never know, you might also help other people with their success along the way. Thank you so much, everyone. And it's a very short talk, but I do hope that you got something out of it that will help you as you go through with other things in your life. What I hope for you is that someday you can look back at your young adult life and say that, number 1, I know what matters to me. I know what I value. Number 2, you can tell yourself that I know my reality. I know there are things I cannot change, but I also know that there's a way to make change happen if I want to. And number 3, I know my purpose. I know the impact I want to create, and I have done steps towards making that positive impact. Thank you all so much, and I hope you can stay connected. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn as well. We always share learnings there, and I look forward to learning with you and from you in the future. I'll turn you back over to our host.
All right. Thank you so much, Miss Elijah Corpus. Now, can we please give her a very, very warm virtual round of applause? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Elijah. Thank you also, everyone.
You guys heard everything she said. Reflect on the 3 questions and make sure to think about your impact that you can create and that positive purpose that you can share with others as well. So, with that, can we please pull up